Well, welcome. We're three old friends. Music never ends. This is our 66th
Wow.
playlist video, I believe. And who thought back 60, 65 of these ago that the future would bring us here? Well, so the topic is if you that is, I do the best I can. The topic of this playlist is the future. Surprise. So anyway, we all kind of came up with songs that involve the future, had that in the song title, what have you, and we'll go through those. But before we start, do you guys have any opening thoughts?
Dave?
Well, when we first threw out this topic, my first thought was going to be, oh, here we go again. It's going to be a bunch of, space oddity and, all those kind of things. But surprisingly, there were a lot of songs that maybe talk about the future, but not necessarily about, space and time travel and all of that kind of thing. So I was a little bit surprised, and I've always said this with you two guys. You always seem to come up with great songs, and this is no exception. So I did like how the playlist went, and even without at first thinking it might be all about the space and nuclear holocaust and things like that, but it wasn't. It was actually fairly upbeat for the most part. So I enjoyed putting it together.
Yeah, this was one that was hard to get accustomed to, and I think it's because of the topic. I think because it's like Dave said, I think when we initially thought, oh, you're thinking, oh, the future, but then when you start looking for songs, first of all, there's kind of like a more finite versions of the future songs out there. They're kind of limited, and I bet this is true that we all had all similar songs on our playlist because, again, it's not as big, but so then you kind of have to step out of the box. We're not immune to breaking the rules, and it comes quick about songs about, okay, this is a song about the future, but oh, this is a song about a future relationship. This is a song about, future things. So that led to this whole playlist kind of being a little disjointed. There was sometimes you get it a flow, and then sometimes, and I was guilty of this as well, just kind of like out of nowhere, this song came. So, so this was one of those playlists I had to kind of grow on you, I think. Like I said, a lot of great individual songs at points. I don't know if they all worked together or flowed together as well. Not saying that I hated the songs. There's certain songs that okay, but overall, there you go.
Yeah, being completely honest here, I had the idea because of two or three songs that I've been wanting to put on playlists and hadn't found a place. And I thought, well, that's a good topic anyway, the future. And sure, great. And so, like, I had those in my back pocket, and then I'm like, you guys went along with it. Your skepticism was understandable, but then when I started looking for them, like, oh wait, I'm having trouble finding songs. And so, yeah, you're right. It kind of broadens, and we'll get into that, obviously. So one of those songs is my first one. It was IGY by Donald Fagen. It's off his first solo album after Steely Dan's 30-year breakup slash hiatus, whatever you want to call it. And it really, you can hear it's the guy from Steely Dan, but he definitely tries to have his own say. He kind of does his own thing in a way that I don't think he could have necessarily in the group, even though he's the most obvious person. IGY is, let's see, I have it, the International Geophysical Year. And I hadn't heard of this before this song, but it was between 57 58. It's like kind of at the peak of the Cold War. There was an effort, everybody except for China, basically, to let's try to pool our, it's before we even, I think, it was right before we had satellites. Or during the middle of it, Sputnik went up. But it was like, okay, we've been through this devastating war. Now we're the verge of killing each other, blowing up the world, whatever. Let's try to join science together and have like for a year, all these hopeful things. And I think it was one of the inspirations for things like the Jetsons and all this kind of futuristic, back then, futuristic things, which that's what this song is. Um, he's singing from the perspective of somebody in 57, 58 time period, talking about, we're all going to be flying, we're going to be taking 90-minute train rides in a tube between US and France and all this stuff. And it's this optimistic sound. But of course, there's this line, by 76 we'll be A-OK. And we were there in 76. We know it didn't quite work out that way. So he recorded this in 82, and it's clearly tongue in cheek. I mean, it's pointing out the opposite, but it's a fun little song. And it just I wanted to start with something up tempo, but something that's more than it seems on the surface. So.
Yeah, no, I think it worked out pretty well. Actually, it's one of my favorite songs. The way to start the playlist, because you think, all right, here we go. This is about the future. Like you said, it's upbeat, even though you can, if you read between the lines, like you said, it's kind of little, what a glorious time this will be, even though they're talking about different things. So, but I enjoyed it. Of course, it has that Steely Dan sound. It's just undeniable. Although he has his own elements to it, which I think makes it that much better of a song. Sometimes uh, solo artists will throw in a little extra, even though they have a distinct sound. So no, I actually kind of enjoyed the beginning of this and how upbeat it was kind of. So
It's a great first song to put on a playlist. I listened to it several times. I love the arrangements of it. I love the horns. I love like I said, just that whole "It's a wonderful, beautiful world. It's wonderful." Just it's got a positive message to it. I did figure something out. Do you know how you can tell the difference between Steely Dan and Donald Fagen solo?
Please tell me, because I've been trying to answer that question.
You can't.
Oh,
Can't, because you're not sitting there going, "Hey, that sounds like Walter Becker right there." You're not doing that. It sounds exactly like Steely Dan. And you know what? Not to take anything from Walter Becker or the rest of the group, but to me, it sounds the same. And it tells you that Donald Fagen is with the vocals and the songwriting and the other things that I'd say he's Steely Dan. Now, I read some things about how they decided early on that Fagen would be the singer and he would do that. And Becker was cool with just going, "Hey, I'll write some songs and work on these cool little arrangements and funky chords and everything else that's there," right? And he was fine with that. But it really goes to show you that, yeah, Fagen is the one behind the Steely Dan sound. But yeah, I love the song. It was a great opening act for this playlist, and but I don't think I can ascertain. I don't think it can discern between Donald Fagen. You've played a couple of Donald Fagen songs, and to me, they sound like Steely Dan.
I think the further along he has gone, and he's still around, it's been more and more. Like he had this record, Morph the Cat, and it's like those songs to me generally sound just like Steely Dan. I mean, like I can't tell a difference anyway, like you were saying, but even more so.
yeah,
So from there, and with my first selection, actually, I'm going to say with my first three selections, we've talked about this before. All three of my first three selections were new to me because I just went ahead and went out and said, "Oh, let me see what kind of songs talk about the future." And I had a couple in my pocket, but not too many that I thought I could maybe use. But it allowed me the opportunity to just explore a few things. And the first one I hit on was Paul McCartney, and I said, "Oh, you know what? I better put this one on quick because it's probably something that either Jose or Mike might hit on, knowing that they like Paul McCartney. I know Mike likes a lot of the solo stuff from Paul McCartney. So again, I'd never heard it, but the weird thing about this song, it's called "Hope for the Future." Paul McCartney. Is this? I didn't check the dates. Is this something brand new or very new that he just put out, or it's an old thing?
It's an older thing.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well,
I can find the date in a second.
the thing I was a little stressed about is there was like 5 different versions of the song. like he did it like a lot of different ways, a little jazzier, a little bit more orchestrated, more of this and more of that. And so I picked on that one. I think what is it even called? Mirror Ways mix. I don't know
Right.
what it means, but I kind of like that version of it the best. Because I listened to all the 4 or 5 different versions of it, and anyway, it's classic Paul McCartney sound, and talking about having hope for the future, and it's just a good Paul McCartney tune.
Yeah, it was 2014,
Yeah, see, that's
and
a,
That's a while.
I thought it might have been new too. I'd never heard it, and in fact, it wasn't on my list. I'm glad you put it on because I like it, and it's yeah, it does have that kind of his more when he tries to sing about more hopeful things, obviously, in this title. But the thing that I didn't know. Until I read up about it. Do you know why he made it? Because when I heard it, I thought it was like, okay, there was some kind of like big project. People all did these song contributed to an album about, the future, and we, raise funds for, something. He wrote it for a video game.
huh?
He wrote and recorded it. It was called Destiny, which I have never heard of. And I play it like I think it was I forget is it Bungie? I don't know. I forget the company, but it's one who I have played their games. So yeah, he wrote it, and it depends on which road you choose or whatever in the game. I think that whether it comes on or not. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah, it's a nice, positive, upbeat song. This is probably the most positive we get on this. Maybe with a little bit here and there, but it's nice before we descend into the um, darkness of the future.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's like Dave said, it's a classic Paul McCartney song, and it's on the list. And you know, I it's almost like ELO, right? I think ELO when I hear this song for some reason. Like Jeff, I don't know if Jeff Lynne produced it, but it has an ELO song, and then he goes into that kind of quasi techno something going on there for a little bit, and then kind of leads out of it with classic Paul McCartney with strings. So it's something I think that he aspires like I'm going to do something futuristic, and it kind of works because it's Paul McCartney, but it is kind of a little disjointed. Again, I'm not slagging on Paul McCartney. What do I have to slag on Paul McCartney for? And like you said, on our playlist, it works perfectly because it's about the future. So yeah, and it's upbeat, and of course, like I said, it's definitely different from IGY. Then you go hope for the future, and then of course now I'm going to really bring it down and bring it with Pearl Jam's Future Days, which is a song. Again, this is where we start going, oh, this isn't really the rules, or is this the rules about? Well, this isn't really about the future. Future Days, like Pearl Jam, isn't really about what's going to happen in 20 years, but about a relationship that's kind of failed, and now he's kind of has to face the future either with it or without it. But it's a beautiful song. So was I breaking the rules? Well, we don't really have rules, so I have future in it. I'm using it. I love that song. I think it's a great song. I've heard it before, and other things that I guess, and I must subconsciously have heard it when I watched Last of Us because I guess they say it's in quite a bit, even though that didn't ring a bell. But still, I think it's just a nice song.
Well, I'm glad you keep coming in with these like Pearl Jam and things like that, because that was definitely not anything I listened to. And I think I said this before. I think I have a mistaken impression of what Pearl Jam is, because all I know it's garage grunge band or something like that kind of thing, but it's really not. And so Jose keeps putting these really softer, slower, melodic kind of songs on by Pearl Jam. And I had when I was researching came across this song, so I wrote it down, put it on my list, and said, yeah, if I get to it, I might put this one on, and Jose would be really impressed with me by putting Pearl Jam on. But I didn't. But when you put it on, then I went, okay, I've heard it a couple times because I previewed it and played it, and yeah, it's a really soulful, beautiful song. I'm starting to like this Eddie Vedder guy. I might have to start listening more black, more more Pearl Jam. But no, I think it stepped down real good on the on the playlist as the third song. Kind of brought it down a little bit, but I liked it.
Yeah, let me make a clarification. It was written about a former band member who passed away, so then he was having to deal with him not being there, and well, along with relationships as well. So anyway, thought I should throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I read that too. And it kind of, when I listened to it before, I completely thought of like this is a romantic interest, a wife or whoever. And then after reading that, you can hear it in that, in that vein too, and through that lens or whatever, hear it through that lens. But yeah, I like it. I do think, and I'm the same. Like well, Pearl Jam, I know some of their stuff. And boy, I say this at least once a video, but it's like I need to check out more of their stuff because things keep kind of popping up. And this is like more recent. I think it's the mid, like after 2010, somewhere in there. So it probably I wouldn't have heard anyway unless I was actively listening to them. But I think it's a hopeful song. It's like amid all the trouble we're having. There's I'm trying to think of the lyric. Well, it doesn't matter, but it's like hope for despite this, fear of what could happen, but still having that holding on to that hope that it's it's gonna work out. You know. So I went. So I was gonna do after that. I figured what I'd do is I'd go darker and darker, and then I lighten up at the end. But first thing is, I came to realize I didn't really have any, any light songs, and except for, and so it's like I even send a message to you guys after I was like, maybe I should. But so I was going to put this song by Leonard Cohen called "The Future." I don't know if you guys listened to that researching this, but I'm not sure the lyrics would have flown. I don't know. I'm not a prude, but it was in the movie. I think it was in the movie Natural Born Killers. I think. Anyway, but that aside, so I'm like, oh, I can't really follow this Pearl Jam thing. It just that's like too dark, too fast. So I kind of had a panic moment looking for something, and this Billie Eilish song kind of popped up. And have I? I don't think I've put any her stuff on before. Have I? I'm trying to remember. But that's been like Jose, you have at least one, maybe two. And I was like, I never thought from what I've heard, I didn't think of her as like having a more positive tone. But my goodness, this song, it's like it's somebody. Oh, I'm sorry, I should tell you, "My Future" by Billie Eilish. Well, first thing I like is has this kind of slow bossa nova thing going. I really like the arrangement. And it's best I can hear, and I read up a little on it too, but it's somebody getting out of a really bad abusive relationship, maybe a narcissist. She talks about looking into a mirror and only seeing like you see me as a mirror where you can only see yourself, you're not seeing me. But then she's like, hope for the future again, with me learning to love myself instead of being brought down. So yeah, I've got to give Billie Eilish more of a chance too, because I really was surprised by this song. I'd never heard it before.
Yeah, I really like it, but and I guess it's probably hypocritical. You gotta kind of be in the right mood for that kind of her singing and stuff. This kind of playlist, it kind of comes and then it comes really down with that. Not that it's not a great song, and I think she's great. Obviously, I put her on before, but I think a certain kind of mood thing that was going there, and I don't know if it kind of works in the playlist per se. Again, as what I'm kind of referring to with all of us is that we have all these. There's great individual songs, but the flow of it might not flow as well. Although, between Future Days and, her song's pretty much a little more upbeat than the Pearl Jam song, which says a lot.
So yeah, I'm not quite on the Billie Eilish bandwagon yet, but you kind of have to be in the mood. Guess I have some questions about Billie Eilish. So I previewed this song too before this, and I said, nah, probably not going to go with that one. But hey, here's Mike brings it in, and it's got that slow, the first half of the song is really slow, and then they get a backbeat to it halfway through. But then the first thing I start thinking about is like, is Billie? She's like really popular right now today, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, are the kids, are the youth, are they listening to this and going, yeah, I love that song, My Future? Or are they going, I don't know, man, I want something a little bit more, peppy? Or I mean, sounds like a little bit like the Amy Winehouse stuff, where she was, that soulful stuff. But I'm just wondering if the kids are really digging that, or if or
I
if
don't know if it's the kids, but every generation has, like you just pointed to, like Amy Winehouse. We've had our Janis Joplins. You have your different women, female singers that always have that kind of distinct style. That are the kids. Do I think kids are no? But do I think 18 to 25-year-olds, or she speaks more to maybe a little older generation, 25 to 35? Because she's been around. We may have just been discovering her, but she's been around for quite a while. So
is most of her stuff like this, or does she have a lot of upbeat, fast stuff too? I mean, I don't know. I haven't really listened to a lot of it.
I think there's a variation, but yeah, I don't think any of us is qualified to talk on Billy Ice, but we should
No,
find any.
I guess I need to listen to it
Yeah,
more.
you
But
need
again, the couple of songs we've played have been pretty downy, and somber, and I just wondered if that's
in between your baseball games, you could ask some of the players, like, "Hey, what's your thoughts on Billy Ice?"
Yeah, like at the plate, the guy's getting ready to hit.
Someone has a walk-up song, and he just
I don't
has.
think it's going to be the walk-up song. Yeah, probably not.
It's like, hey.
So anyway, from there I went with David Bowie, "A Better Future," and sadly, I wish I could say, "Oh yeah, I've known this song. I know Bowie. I listened to a lot of Bowie, but didn't know this song." So it was another one I discovered while we were researching and looking into it. I said, "Hey, definitely A Better Future." I was looking for a place to put this on the playlist, and I figured that after the Billie Eilish, which was kind of down, the David Bowie pumped it up a little bit, with that beat that he has with it, and it's kind of again, it's David Bowie. I liked. Let me see something here real quick. So when he gets in the groove of this song, um, I don't know. I think it's a kind of a good mid-tempo song. He doesn't want us to tear the world apart, and he demands a better future, and um, yeah, it is kind of a relationship song too, right? The same kind of vein. If it's not going to be a better world, then maybe I don't want you, and maybe we won't get together, and that kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad I discovered it while we were researching this.
Yeah, I had some David Bowie songs on my playlist, big list that I was going to draw from. And if you hadn't have picked this, it might have been my next one. Are you familiar with Diamond Dogs?
Mhm.
It's like a weird future where dogs have morphed into people and they're crazy and killing and whatever. And then there's also 5 years from Ziggy Stardust. But alas, not to be. This I knew this record. Um, I didn't listen to it at the time, but when I made a couple of like mixed playlists for my, just whatever, and of his stuff. And I can't remember what they are, but there's a couple songs off there that I've used on those. And I remember when I've heard this one, it's like I listen to, if I don't know the song, this is bad, but I'll listen to the first few bars. And I'm like, eh. So this is one I was like that initially, and which is really too bad because it's a decent song. I have no gripes about it. I read a little up on this one too, and he said in an interview that it was an angry song with a message to God because he was worried about his daughter's future. And then he went on to say, I have several songs like that. So You know, take it for what you will. It's but yes, it definitely upbeat. We're at this moment going for a more positive trend.
Yeah, again, playlist just keeps taking these twists and turns. You know, it's like all of a sudden we're going from Billie Eilish to Dave Bowie, and I agree with Mike. Sometimes you hear the beginning song, but this song I think really kicks in when David Bowie really starts kicking in, right? You know, then this song really starts taking off. Like, oh, that's right, this is David Bowie, and he's a genius, and the way he sings, his voice is just one of those voices that really captures the essence. So yeah, I like that. I think it was on all our playlists. You know, David Bowie's going to make it one way or another. So again, and then of course, again, like I said, I'm guilty. Here I go. All of a sudden, I'm throwing on John Prine, which is probably as far away as from David Bowie as you can get. You know, musically, I suppose, probably not the way they thought, but yeah, and it's one of those songs where I call it. Uh, if Bob Dylan would have continued in country music, because this came out in 1980. So I would say, what if Bob Dylan had kept that Nashville skyline thing and had written some country songs? And I'm not saying he's imitating Bob Dylan or Bob Dylan's better than or worse than. It sounds like John Lennon. Not better than or worse than, but it's one of those songs. He has those kind of funny lyrics, you know, a funny little take on it, which of course is that we go from David Bowie demanding a better future to this guy kind of making fun of it, but as well as showing us the truth. You know, there's elements of the truth there, as well as, you know, we'll end up in a, you know, as funny as it can be, like, you know, I read it in the newspaper that, you know, all being flying cars and stuff like that, but then we'll all end up in soup lines. Okay, yeah, you know, it hits a little hard sometimes, as well as making fun of. So, and I don't want a Velcro suit at any point. So, but I thought it was a great song. I thought, again, like some of these other, like Billie Eilish, we just keep discovering newer and better songs from.
I don't know what it is about John Prine lately, but he is like everywhere now, like on my Facebook feeds, and it's just like PBS specials, and I mean, it just keeps popping up everywhere. Maybe because we talk about it, and then my phone's listening to us or whatever. I don't know what it is, but we've said this before, but I can't believe that I'm discovering John Prine later in life. Now, and I knew a little bit about him, and then Jose started putting some songs on, and whatnot. I knew he was in that singer songwriter vein with some others, that didn't get the notoriety and stuff. But then, when he passed, my people are doing tributes to him, like who is it? Belinda Carlisle's doing stuff, and I mean, everyone's just like going when he passed away. They were like, this guy was great, and when you start listening to his songs, you listen to the lyrics, you get it. You get why he was so respected by his peers. The beginning of this song, I have to say this. I don't know if you all know this, but on Apple Music, so I put it on and I said I'm going to look at the lyrics, and the first one there, Jehoshaphat, the mongrel cat, right, jumped off the roof today. Well, that's when you look at Apple Music, that's not the first lyrics. So I'm going to read you the first lyrics because it makes me scratch my head a little bit. It says, when I first started writing this song, it was supposed to be about the future, but it took me 7 years to finish it. So I bet it's about the present.
Right.
And then he says, I'm sure Jim Jackson has days like that. Really? Jim? Okay. For whatever that means, right?
Yeah. Your lyric. I don't know why they don't put it in.
I don't know why it's on the front of the lyrics there. It's not in the song. And I'm sure Jim Jackson, he's not talking about the guy from Ohio State, right?
Probably not.
Yeah. He's right. Anyway, but clever lyrics, great song. The chorus of it, obviously, where he says, we're living in the future. I'll tell you how I know. I read it in the paper 15 years ago, right? And then it goes on to say, we'll all be driving rocket ships, and talking with our minds and wearing turquoise jewelry and standing in soup lines. Oh, okay. I guess that's the future, right? Um, but anyway, great song. Thanks for putting it on. I can't get enough John Prine. I keep gushing about him, but uh, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. The first thought I had, kind of listening to the whole thing, that part about read it 15 years ago in the paper, rocket ships and whatever the other thing was. Oh yeah, whatever with our minds. I was like, it took me back to IGY. I was like, the 15-year ago world might expect that to happen. But yeah, then reality is, and the turquoise, I was trying to figure that out too. The wearing turquoise and soup lines is like, does it mean we are like all into superficial beauty when at the same time the reality of the world is terrible? I don't know. I kind of looked it up, and people were just gushing about these lyrics, but I didn't really see anybody explain them, and I didn't spend too much time on it. And then Jehoshaphat the cat, I guess the cat commits suicide, but it's up for debate. I'm not sure what the deal is with the barber's daughter. Um, any ideas?
Yeah.
And there's another one. I'm not gonna go in. Yeah, well. Um,
About the seedy part of the cinema, the sex cinema.
Oh yeah, the old Sarah Brown sells
You're
tickets now.
rising the
Yeah,
pants of the kid. Yeah, that's great lyric. I mean, again,
but it was actually really thought provoking. I actually probably thought more about this song than anything else. Just kind of trying to parse the lyrics, but keep this guy's stuff coming because I don't really. I think I maybe know one of his other songs. I don't know the name of it. I could just kind of think of the lyrics a little bit. So yeah. And so, okay, well, Living in the Future, I had a song that I was going to put at the end. Um, but it just seemed, and I was looking at it as a upbeat song, which it is musically. But again, it's another one of these things are really dark. Um, and don't look like they're going to get better. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. They don't get credit on the album cover, but they're playing on all the songs. So it's called "Living in the Future" with an apostrophe. So I had to put it there. Whatever. Living in the future. I didn't even realize that until I was making a little sheet here, just notes, and I'm like, oh, that was living in the future. Anyway, it's like he was inspired. This was probably in the early 2000s. Not maybe I think the Iraq War was going on, and it was after 9/11, obviously, and the thing, the Guantanamo and a lot of the things, the controversy around the elections, and I know there's a lot of political stuff here. I'm not going to that, but that was he's a political guy, clearly. That was kind of what got him thinking along these lines, and so he has this kind of apocalyptic imagery. But I like the line where, don't worry, baby, don't you fret. We're living in the future. None of this has happened yet. And I thought about that a long time. Like, what does that mean? And I think what he was saying is this stuff is bad and it could get better, but it hasn't happened yet. We could have, or it could get worse, excuse me. But we could have, it may not be that way. You be the judge, looking at what's happened since. But oh, I should add, I got tickets. I'm going to go see Bruce Springsteen here in Austin about a month and a half from now. So we'll
oh,
see.
yeah, like I
With
said,
Tom Morello, right?
God
He's got,
bless. Hello.
he's not opening for him. He's like on stage with the E Street Band the whole show.
No, they did that. Rage did a cover of Tom Joad back in the day. So, but I'm glad he's part of them. If I would have known, I probably would have thrown in. But no worries. I got enough on my plate. But yeah, but speaking of Bruce Springsteen, it's a classic Bruce Springsteen song, right? I mean, it's all the elements. I mean, could this song have played in 1975 or 1985 or 19? But again, it's Springsteen what he does, and I think again, as far as the playlist, again now all of a sudden we're into a old Bruce Springsteen song, which is this going along with the rest of the playlist? it doesn't matter at this point, but it's a fun song, and it, it, it's like I said, it's a classic Bruce Springsteen with the saxophone, and let's face it, he knew something that worked. That formula works, and it does. It works in this song as well. I enjoyed the song just as much as anybody, so I liked it.
Yeah, me too. Couple things about this. So obviously, you guys did the living in the future and living in the future, which is about as close to a exact title as you could get for each song. I didn't have another living in the future to come in with, but I liked the transition from the John Prine to the Bruce Springsteen. And at first, I listened to the song a couple times, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really care what he's singing about on this one because it just the structure of the song, the tone and the of the verses and even the chorus were just so good Bruce Springsteen that I didn't even care. I didn't even delve into what does it mean or anything else. I just went, hey, I like it. I can sing to it. It has, and everything like that. And I didn't really care about what, whether it had a deep meaning or not. To me, it was just like, oh, this is another cool Bruce Springsteen song that I've never heard, and add it to the list of ones that I really like now. Even going back to Outlaw Pete,
I knew, I will never put on a
Go,
Springsteen song
I
without
love
Outlaw
Outlaw
Pete
Pete.
throwing his hat in here.
go.
I put it on the. I even put it on the
I have to say
favorites. I
that
put it
Outlaw
on.
Pete.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a good song. From there though, this will be the last song with the word future in the title. So 7 of the first 8 songs, other than IGY, all had future, 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 future. And then after that, I don't know if we just ran out of future songs or we started going into other things that mean the future but don't say the future. But this was another song. Again, I mentioned 3 songs that I had never heard, but when I Googled it and came up with this David Byrne one, I went, aha, David Byrne or Talking Heads. And, Mike's going to be impressed when I come in with this one, that kind of thing. And at first I thought, oh, I don't know, man. I've listened to it a few times and it's a little long. It's 6.5 minutes or whatever. But the more I listen to it, it's not just the words. I love I don't know what instruments are all using, bassoon, other things they're doing. The orchestration of it is just so totally cool and mesmerizing to me. And then how they later in the song they change it up a little bit and do it a little bit differently and kind of bring in some quirk to it. And that plus the just what am I say I would say the dichotomy of the lyrics, right? Because he doesn't just say this is the future, this is what it's going to be. If you listen to the whole song, they contradict each other all the time. He says this, and then later on he says the future is going to be this. Well, maybe it will be later on in the future, and we don't know how far into the future each of those things were doing. It felt kind of a little bit like with Nostradamus or anything. It's like, well, just predict a whole bunch of things, and you'll get a couple of them right. Maybe our homes will be all entertainment centers, and TV will be so good that the book will be an art form. I just like how he phrased them. Some of the other ones, politically and otherwise, maybe I don't agree with what he would say. Oh, there won't be any religion, or you won't do this, or we'll all be same haircuts, and some of the stuff's kind of out there a little bit, but it makes you think. It makes you think. Well, yeah, maybe some of that will be way in the future, and we don't know if it's 10 years, 50 years, or 500 years. He doesn't specify when that's going to be. So anyway, I thought it was a kind of a cool thing, and I find myself when I get to that part of the playlist enjoying that song a lot. Can't say there's we usually say my favorite song is one Mike puts on or Jose puts on, but I think this is my favorite song on the playlist, and it gets right in the middle of the thing. And again, it's that the orchestration and all the other stuff that goes with it. It's I don't know. I'm sick. It's
You
No,
are.
I like it. I like it. Is it my turn? Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I kind of wondered when I was listening because I had heard it, but it's been so long. I don't know where I heard it. And I think I was like, Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I was like, okay, this is interesting, and it's clearly David Byrne, but is this really something I listen to over and over again? But now, I like that it's come back into my life. It's like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie True Stories. They filmed a lot of it in Dallas. I think about the time we were up there at Richland, and there's other stuff that Talking Heads did that he was inspired by. But it's like he has this lens that he looks through things and interprets like this absurdist view, like of what the world is, and it's like not necessarily how we think about it, but it is very revealing about what is beneath the surface, and what our flaws and our qualities are. And you really hear that in this. I also had it on my list, and I kind of thought the same things as you, Dave, but I chickened out. I was like, man, a 6 minute song that's kind of as much poem as song. Are they gonna? So I didn't, but I'm glad you did. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised when you put it on. There's and yeah, whether some of these things come to be, well, houses being fortresses, and the entertainment center, the house being, we're heading there, we take it with us on our phones. I yet to see anybody younger than me, or frankly my age, that's not at some point like walking around looking at their phone. And a lot of it's entertainment a lot of the time. And there's a lot of others. And there's the only thing I'll say. He was when I heard that, I was like, where does? Because you're right, a lot of it's contradictory, and so I was like, it's almost like he just like asked a whole bunch of people to give one prediction of the future. Some of them are clearly the kind of things he would say. And I know that's not the case, but I think maybe it is. It's like everybody's predicting the future, and this is all the crap they're saying. Um, or he may just be being David Byrne. I don't
Okay, I'll be the contrarian. I'll be the one. This is just not my song. It's an alright song, but it's just, and it comes into playlist, and all of a sudden you get that tuba playing. Boom, 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 boom,
know.
boom, boom, boom. And it is mesmerizing, and then he goes into his spiel, which, you know, I'll say a lot of artists have done it. It's a thing, we can all do it. It's one of those things where you can just say, like Mike said, spout some crazy things, and Burton is good at it. There's no doubt about it. And it does change tempo a little bit towards the end, but man, for 6 minutes, you're getting that tuba play. And again, David Byrne's a genius. I am not, but not one of my favorite songs. Again, that's what I say about this playlist. A lot of individual great songs. Do they all fit together? No. Again, I'm coming up. I'm probably one of the most guilty. Not this one, but coming up. But so do I enjoy David Byrne? Of course. It's just like the Billie Eilish. It's just like some of the other songs. At moments you like to hear them. I don't know, through this whole flow of these songs, do they all go together? Especially, and my personal point of view is when I'm walking and all of a sudden I have to hear drone on for 6 minutes. David Byrne, it's just not the most motivating stuff to walk through. But again, like I said, I'm not going to disparage David Byrne or the song itself, but it is a very cool. It was on my list as well, and I did the same thing. Listen to it, like I'm not putting this on. People, no, I'm not going to put it. I'll let Mike put it on. Right, and then Dave puts it on. So anyway, again, switching gears, here we go. And this is one of those weird songs as well. Is John Legend? I put a couple of songs on his before. Heard him a couple of times. I think he's pretty talented. And this is like Dave says, kind of the beginning of the Tomorrow. It's called Tomorrow by John Legend. I mean, there's several versions out there. This is off his one album. And it starts completely radical with like a Dr. John song. And you're like, wait, what's going on? And then goes into his song, which is pretty much a good, don't waste tomorrow, take advantage of today, don't wait till tomorrow, that kind of thing. And what I like about it, and maybe this is kind of blasphemous as well, is this as good as imitation or as good an homage to Stevie Wonder as you're gonna get out there. So it really has that sound element to it, which I think is fantastic. And so, hey, if you're gonna steal from the best, why not steal from the best? So I think it's a great song, and I think it's a great message.
Yeah, and like Jose said, sometimes we kind of the playlists don't flow, and that's okay sometimes because I think we kind of had a stopping point after the David Byrne thing, then all the future things right there, and then it was good that we took a break and switched it up to something a little bit different. And John Legend's great. We've had a couple of him songs on the playlist. Kind of weird how it starts out on the song a little bit, and I wasn't sure what to make of that, and then kind of switched and got into the actual song. But the future is, I mean, tomorrow is the future just as much as 100 years or longer from now, and so we got to always be looking to that. And again, it was a nice song, it was a sweet song. Um, don't have anything negative to say about it. I think it did set a good tone for the rest of the playlist going forward.
Well, potentially, set a good tone, and I kind of violate that right out the gate, but we'll get to that in a second.
I like the next one.
Oh yeah, no, I do too. But we'll get to it. The before that, yeah. So I don't really have anything to add. I agree with everything you said. I don't have a problem with the song. I didn't think of. I'm gonna have to listen to it again now because I didn't think of the Stevie Wonder thing, but I can totally hear it. And the Dr. John thing. So I was kind of the biggest. I don't know, if offender is the right word, but the most confused, I think, because I even messaged you guys when we were making the list. Is like, what's going on? Is this like, does it cut off? Because sometimes when there's not a neat cut between songs when you're like, especially live shows, and so it'll break them up on streaming music or whatever when the individual tracks. And so I thought it was like Dr. John in the previous song, and it was just like, why? And it just cut off. And so then I go to the previous song, I'm like, this sounds nothing like that Dr. John. So you explained it to me, Jose, and I'm like, oh well, yeah, no, that makes sense. And I haven't listened to that Dr. John song in its entirety. I like his music too. But yeah, nothing I can. It's a great. It's seize the day or like take what you've got right now because who knows where it'll be tomorrow. Which is this is an important part of the future. You don't know. I've talked about this kind of stuff. We all have things going on in our lives. You gotta enjoy them, while you can. So anyway, enough of that. So I did take a zigged or zagged or whatever with the next one. This is, in all honesty, okay. So the song is this is the actual title. Things that would have been helpful to know before the revolution, and it's by Father John Misty. I think this is either the third or fourth of his songs, and it's kind of hard to fit him into. He has a very distinctive kind of dark humor with dark subject matter kind of thing. And that's the case here. What I was going to say is there were really two main songs like I've been wanting to put on for a while. And so that's why I came up with this suggestion for a playlist. And this was the other one. It's like, where do I fit that on a playlist? It's basically a guy after kind of society and everything collapses, the few straggling survivors trying to make the best they can of the world, and so yeah, and it's a possible future. Talk about possible past is a possible future, but he does he has that humor in it, even though it's dark. It's like industry and commerce crashes to its knees, but there's that little note of hope about the temperature drops and the ice things begin to keep kind of, but what was it, lines like, yeah, if you don't mind hunting and gathering, we're still pretty good at eating on the run, which is true. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've eaten a meal from fast food in my car. And there's a lot of other stuff, but um, what else can I say about it?
No, I think it's my favorite song on the thing. And initially it wasn't. And then I started listening to it more and more, and I thought, what does this sound like to me? And I don't know, maybe this equated, maybe y'all will strike me down for this, but could Elton John sang this song? You know, if you put Elton John, could this be an Elton John song? The way he arranges it, then he has the piano part, then he has the big kind of thing in the middle there with the acoustic part playing as well, and then ends it with big. It reminds me of an Elton John song, and I
Yeah.
thought,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll
go
try to.
ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. It would, an older one,
Right,
like Goodbye
right,
Yellow Brick Road or something.
right.
And I
Maybe
didn't mention
Highland.
I love his arrangements. That's one of the best things I think he's got going for him. Anyway, go ahead.
Not, yeah. So I thought that, and I think it's a beautiful song. You know, again, is it about the future? Well, okay, we've already established there's no real rules, but it's such a beautiful song, and I thought it worked really well.
So when I said that David Byrne was my favorite, I lied. Actually, this was my favorite one. I like this song a lot. I like the piano at the beginning, and then in the middle part, it's like he's trying to make it feel like something happened, like whether it was a cataclysmic thing or some kind of thing. But the music kind of fits in with that, and then he goes back to the piano again, and again, like the lyrics that are there, but that you can't kill this planet, right? You can't kill the Earth. No matter what you do, which would probably be a post atomic war kind of thing. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, I don't know if anybody's watching on Hulu, Paradise. Yeah. So I watched the first two seasons. Same kind of thing. The people. It was hard, but they survived whatever the atomic winter and the 2 years, and having to start over, like you said, hunting and gathering. They had to start from without any technology and power and stuff like that. And it kind of seems like that's might be how it would be in the future for both of those. But no, I liked it. Keep putting that on. I liked the Mr. Tillman from before and some other Father John. It's had starting to grow on me a little bit, and so this was a cool song. From there, I had one of these songs that I knew I wanted to put on, but you kind of had the interpretation of the future. You have to kind of listen to the lyrics and understand what's going on in the song. But it's an Alan Parsons Project song off iRobot, which is a lot of futuristic kind of songs from there. But some other time, and but if you really peel back and listen to the lyrics, let's see. It says in a matter of a moment, lost till the end of time. So it almost tells you something happened, whether it was a bomb or whatever. And then it says it's the evening of another day, and the end, and just the end of mine. Um, he talks about how maybe somebody's looking into his mind, some other place, somewhere, some other time. So you kind of get that idea that there could be somebody in the future looking back at him, or some type of another world that's juxtaposed to this one or something like that. But it has always been a favorite song of mine, and looking for a place to put it on a playlist. And this is as good as any. We're talking about the future, and so I felt like, and actually coming out of the Father John Misty, if you listen to in that middle part where he's doing that kind of thing, it kind of flows pretty nice into the Alan Parsons orchestration and things like that. So I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah, I agree about the flow. It's really good. Probably one of the better, other than two names of songs being similar. Probably one of the better places that happens. And yeah, I'm very familiar with this song because I may have said before, Tales of Mystery and Imagination was that our last playlist, which maybe hasn't been posted yet. Um, I may have said that was my favorite of their albums, but this is actually it. And they came out. I guess they came out around back to back. I'm not sure. Pretty close to each other. We had again another album. I had so many albums that were my mom's when I was a kid, and listened to this one a ton of times. And there were three songs on there that particularly I remember. This is one. Just the title song, "I Robot," which is I think that's the name of it. It's the name of the album, but it's instrumental. And then "I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You." I think that's on here. and so I love all those. I love the album. I guess it's loosely based on the Isaac Asimov stuff, novel, which I've read several times as a nerdy teenager, which I still say is a great collection of short stories. But anyway, it's just a very memorable song to me, and I couldn't really. The lyrics are really good, but I'm glad you kind of went into that because I wasn't really sure exactly what's going on with those.
This is the first time I think I'm just kidding. Dave's played this numerous times. I think it's been on one of our, it had to have made one of our tapes back in the day for sure. And it's obviously one of the most beautiful songs that's out there. And I think they put it, I think the song, because we broached this situation, this topic a lot is, you know, we listened to it then, you back when you were younger. Now you listen to it now, and so now it even makes more sense than it even did beforehand. Because you didn't have that different. You didn't have a 40-year more perspective on what you had just done. You had your 20-year perspective, close to your 40 or 60-year perspective. So anyway, it's just a beautiful song. So of course, those two beautiful songs, and I decide I'm just gonna trash this whole thing. So, to be honest, and it's true. I consciously thought, that I have to have some orchestration song. There's got to be some. There was nothing. I was just like, okay. So I rationalized, like, well, they have different tempo changes in this Black Sabbath song, but of course, it was just, it was like this came out of nowhere. It's just bob out. It's immediately in your face, and then you do get the little subtle part at the end. Obviously, Ozzy's talking about, a relationship and trying to move on and breaking up, and now reality setting in and stuff. But yeah, there's no way they could justify how I put it in the playlist after those two beautiful songs. But here we are.
Is it? Oh, not you.
Yeah, and I mentioned, you know, I think in a previous playlist, when's a good time to put on Steely Dan? Actually, we haven't seen it yet. We haven't put it out yet, but it's any time, right? But Black Sabbath, you got to find the right place and the right time. And we've had a few times where we've been building up and doing some rock kind of things, and I didn't expect this one to come after Alan Parsons, but you know what? It is what it is. It's a good Black Sabbath song, and we just lost Ozzy not too long ago, so it could have even been on the memoriam kind of thing. And anyway, nothing bad to say about it. When it hits that on the playlist, I turn my speakers up and rock out for a little while. And yeah, it is what it is.
So Tomorrow's Dream is the song, and it's one that I'd heard many times. I do like, I don't know if you call it a bridge, that part. They do this in a number of their songs, where it's like just pounding out, rocking it, and then there's a little kind of thing, and they go back into it and that may be what you were referring to, Jose. But I'm definitely an Ozzy Sabbath man. I really didn't even know who Ryan James Dio was. I'm always like behind the times on the music I listen to, So that's definitely was the case with Black Sabbath. When I started listening to them, I didn't hear their newer stuff, but yeah, I like this song, and I knew it from before. I'm sure it was like a greatest hits record. Was it? We sold our souls for rock and roll. I had like a 2 cassette set of that, and I think this one was on there. And there's like all these songs. I used to listen to it a lot, but I've moved on to other things and haven't really. This is one I haven't really revisited as much. And then something like this pops up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this song. I love this song. It's not some of the more obvious ones that you hear a lot played a lot more. But it's a great song. Yeah, moving on from a relationship, he's non-apologetic about that. I'm not sure exactly if that's based on reality, but it wasn't with Sharon anyway. But anyway, so yeah, I have no problem with the jumping. As we do it through the whole thing, I I have no problem. Sometimes playlists kind of have to be that way. And since I'm going into that just a little bit more, I've been doing the treadmill every day or trying to every day, and I listened to this several times, and I'm cool with it. I'm cool with going into David Byrne. It's a little hard to kind of walk that dun dun, dun. Messes up my pace, but otherwise, anyway, let's not go back to past songs. Let's move forward into the future. So I did another one that I was kind of really at a loss for this last song. It's "Afraid of Tomorrow" by Gary Moore, and I just again it was another one I was going to put that Springsteen song here, and so I'm like I don't know what to. Everything is even darker. I thought of well, I guess after that we could go with that Leonard Cohen song, but no, I didn't want to do it. So I just kind of started looking. I did a search for songs about tomorrow because we had tomorrow previous couple of songs back a few, and this came up. I'm like, I'll check it out. I'm doing this like trying to do this in like 5 minutes, and it was this came up. It's yeah, Gary Moore. We've had him on. I don't know if more than once, but you put one on. I think that Irish playlist, Jose, and I didn't know a lot about him when I listened, particularly this song. I don't hear Thin Lizzy at all. It is like a completely different sound. And he has since passed. I think we talked about all that. But and there's not a lot I can say about it. I love the arrangement more than anything else. Um, yeah, that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, and it's a really good song. I didn't expect it, like you said. I expected Gary Moore is considered this guitar virtuoso, right? So you're expecting all these guitar work, and it's not that at all. It's just a nice little melodic song that comes out of nowhere. You're like, oh, that was pretty nice, It's again, it's a nice change from Tomorrow's Dream as well. Brings it back down, and like you said, a little more popular, a little more positive. But it's really nice. It makes you want to go out and explore more Gary Moore. As much as I listened to early Gary Moore, I don't think I've ever heard this song. So
Well, I think it was a good choice after the Black Sabbath because it's a rocking kind of song, I didn't I had listened to it a couple of times, never wasn't familiar with it, but I too like how it kind of flows in the arrangement, and towards about three-quarters of the way into the song, he kind of changes it up and does a couple different things, and then gets back to the original song, and it's a powerhouse rock and roll kind of song. Um, the problem is, you guys you use Tomorrow and then Tomorrow's Dream, Afraid of Tomorrow. At that point, I did not completely consider looking for Tomorrow songs, but had I done that, there were some ones like Tomorrow Never Knows, the Beatles, Billy Joel, Tomorrow Is Today, Will You Love Me Tomorrow, Carole King, Love Me Tomorrow, Chicago. So there's some songs out there, but the one that I probably would have spoiled everything with would have been the theme song, one of the songs from the movie Annie, Tomorrow. The sun will come out tomorrow. And you guys would have went, what the heck did we just
we
do?
would have found a neighbor
We went from
replacement.
Black Sabbath and Gary Moore to Annie.
Nah.
Hey, I think it would have worked
It would maybe
in a
so.
weird way.
It might have worked, but I had another one of
Yeah,
those
you
songs
say this.
in my hip pocket. I was still had one of those futuristic song kind of thing. So one of the ones I had was In the Year 2525 by Zeiger and Evans. I think everyone kind of knows the song. They probably heard it on the radio or whatever years ago. And so I had that one kind of as my, at some point at the end of the thing, I'll put that one on because that's really futuristic, whatever. But I thought it actually went pretty good with the arrangement of the Gary Moore stuff too, as he was building on that. And anyway, thought I'd throw that out there. In the year 2525. I don't really understand. I mean, 35, 35, 45, 45. I mean, they get all the way up to like 9,500 or whatever. Whatever. Oh, but before I forget, looking at this picture here, you might think this looks like a futuristic city. And I thought the same thing when I posted it on here. But as the more and more I've looked at this picture, this just looks like one more flyover in San Antonio. I mean, right? You guys are you get to that point where it's like that high up anyway. So what's one more? This is probably San Antonio in 20 years.
Yeah, Austin too. Austin too. Have you looked at downtown lately?
I
Yeah.
have.
Oh my gosh, it is. Just look at a picture of it, Dave. You would not recognize. Some of the buildings are still there. You can kind of see the Capitol if you're at a certain angle, but anyway, yeah, I know. The future. So yeah. So the Zager and Evans, I guess they were a one-hit wonder. I don't know if they had any other thing that got airplay. This one got a lot of airplay, and uh I'm not dissing you, but this is just one. Whenever it comes on the radio, I usually switch the dial. It's just
Me
like,
too.
oh my gosh, it's
Me
so
too.
heavy. We're all doomed. It's only going to get worse. Which, okay, unlike any of the other songs on here, I get it still. So yeah, it is what it is. I don't know if you guys have mentioned it. So they did a parody of it in Futurama. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's part of it, actually a really good episode. It's like the year of 25, 25, 25, and it's like we're enslaved to zebras, giraffes, and all these different things. But all the same, I respect it. It's just not one of my favorites.
Uh, like I said, I think we had to find songs that started, and towards the end, it all started dwindling down. I don't even know if we have a list of who didn't we use. I mean, it's probably slim pickings there. So I know I've heard this song once or twice in my lifetime. Not one of my favorite. Of course, it's like, hell, I'm not going to even make it to 2035, probably. So why am I even worried about 25, 20? But it's a fun loving song. So that's kind of why I went. Like you said, you get down to the bottom of the barrel, and you're like, oh, what do I got left? And so the Birds had this, 100 years from now, the Birds, and it, so I tried to make amends with the Tomorrow's Dream because I think these two kind of sounded the same. They're kind of in the same vein. They're kind of that hippie, poppy-ish kind of sound, that's going on. But what I do like about the Bird song is, you think that it's about a relationship, but it also deals with what we're feeling today and how people are. It's like, does it really matter? Are we still going to be saying the same things we said? What still say the things that they're saying right now? What would everyone said I hurt you. They said that I desert you if I go. So he's talking about relationship, but it also is talking about ideas and concepts. Would anybody change their mind? They find out one thing or two about life, but people are always talking. So I thought it was an interesting message inside the song itself.
Yeah, it was a good way to kind of end the playlist. I wasn't familiar with it, but it's a good song. Like Jose said, we start running out of things we can kind of put on, and I will confess, I think I'm going to listen to it once or twice because every time I got to in the year 25, I either turned the playlist off or had something else to go do or whatever. So I think I'll listen to it like once or twice. But it's a cool bird song, and it fits the theme of the thing. But like you said, we're start running out of cool future songs. So, but anyway, not so.
I agree. Okay, I agree. My list is getting pretty thin. I'm not sure what I had left, but there wasn't much that I'd want to use. And yeah, I like the see. I don't know a lot about the Birds except for like the stuff they played a lot on the radio. I never really had one of their records. This is supposed to be one of their really respected, I guess like considered a turning point, Sweethearts of the Rodeo, because they were really started going from the psychedelic stuff into the more country stuff, particularly with Graham Parsons. And yeah, I mean some great bands had their roots there. People came out of that band, but the as far as the song, I kind of heard it the same way you did. I think I heard it more about that secondary meaning than I really clued in initially to the relationship thing. And I was kind of reading it initially like the bad stuff that's happening now, we're gonna it happens. It happens again and again. We repeat in history. I'm not sure that's what they were saying, but that's kind of what I got out of it. Are we still going to be doing it? Well, yeah, we may. We're doing things that we've done before, you know. So, um, but I thought it was a great way to end it. And I would have had I thought of this song, I would have probably put it on myself earlier, but not just I would have put it on. So I
Well, the other thing is, this was probably written in the '60s, right?
think like
Oh,
68, maybe
So
69.
we're really only talking about 40 years from now.
right. I was going to mention that. It's the 2068 is probably closer for us than 1998. Think about that. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, 6 years ago, right now, the only reference we have any of this music, 50 years, is the IGY, because he said 76, which we are going to, at some point this year, have music from 50 years ago. So, like that segue I did there. Not really segueing into anything else. This is the end. Thank you, folks, for listening. I hope a couple people listened. We love doing this, and hopefully it's both educational about this music and also us. And I, like I said, I enjoy it. So no idea what the next playlist is going to be. I'm kind of running behind getting the videos up, so we'll work on that too. But any parting words for the future?
Just
Future
watch,
generation.
watch the playlist in the future.
Excellent.
In the future.
Living in the future. And
Devo, that was I was trying to find a Devo song to put on. I was meant to mention this, or I don't know why, but I was Talking Heads kind of make me think of Devo for some reason.
Well,
That had nothing to do with anything.
we had mentioned Timbuk 3 and The Future So Bright. Gotta wear shades. I thought about that, putting that one on, but that was only one of the only ones I didn't play.
there wasn't many out there that, like you said, Tomorrow Never Knows, I think was kind of the biggest one, maybe. Or When I'm 64, I guess that deals with the future, right?
Pretty sadly, not sadly, but the pretty near future for some of us, for all of us.
First one,
And
yeah.
Tomorrow Never Knows, I was like, I was on my list. And I almost put it, but then I'm like, is this really about the future or more about like
Yeah.
his mind doing some things? If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to that song and you'll see. All right. So, okay.
Yeah, there's not that much.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, I appreciate you guys
All right.
playing along, and I understand it's like it's uneven, but I like everything on here generally, and so thanks again, and we will see everybody in the future.
you put it the same ways.